Winter. A dark, cold and damp time of the year. The temperatures are dropping, food supplies are becoming scarce, and many animals and plants go into hibernation for the winter. All deciduous trees have lost their leaves, and the landscape is changing. Many species of animals and birds alike are seen more commonly this time of the year, as they venture closer to the human world in search of food and little vegetation to help them camouflage from those. The winter floods fertilise the land, as seasonal streams cause rivers and waterways to burst their banks and move sediment to new location. This in turn will create very fertile lands. The beginning of the winter is greeted with humongous flocks of birds such as starlings, pigeons and crows, all feeding on the last of the autumn feast. As food becomes more scarce, the flocks of birds cluster together, growing in numbers by the day. But where prey lie in big numbers, predators will gather round to hunt as well. This sparrowhawk is watching these flocks carefully for any tired or injured birds. It hovers above them, keeping silent, and picks out its prey with its near perfect vision. Target locked. It dives at a phenomenal speed, vertically downwards towards this prey. The pigeons burst into flight, all in a mad scramble to get away from being targeted as food. The hawk was spotted too early and loses its prey. As the seasonal marshlands come into existence, flocks of gulls migrate from lakes to these nutrient-rich areas for the winter. Gulls aren't the only birds migrating to the marshlands. The mute swan too returns from the lakes with its young. They land with such grace onto the land, and day by day grow in numbers. These highly vocal creatures stay in large groups and set up some swans to look out for any danger. These majestic creatures will feed on grass and water plants that will grow over the winter in these areas. One of the lookout swans have spotted me and alerts the group a possible threat is around. No chances are taken, and the swans take into flight to the other side of the marshland. Young swans are kept close to the water, as many predators won't chase the swans into the floods. Food lies at the bottom of these floods, so young swans can sit on the water for hours on end. But as these water levels rise and seasonal streams become more prominent, land animals face challenges in getting from one location to another. Bridging points are very popular places for animals to cross. This is the place to set a motion sensor camera during the winter and get footage of an array of animals, as you're about to see. Animals in all different shapes and sizes come to these bridging points, driven by hunger, cross the seasonal streams to get to new potential feeding areas. Larger animals such as foxes and badgers have to be a lot more skeptical when picking their bridging points, as the extra weight can put a lot of pressure on these natural bridges and cause them to collapse. This badger is blind in its right eye and is very skeptical in crossing the bridge. It initially struggles to balance on this natural bridge, but with careful steps makes it safely across the stream. Moving across the land to the ferry forts and isolated woodlands amongst the vast unused wintering fields, a family of badgers are hibernating in the set we visited in our summer episode. The set looks unused this time of the year, and many small mammals such as mice will take refuge in the entrance of the burrow by digging their own little burrows in the walls of the set. The badgers rarely come out during this time of the year, and when they do, it is in search of food. The cold, damp air wakes the badger up very quickly and gets it searching for food immediately. It uses its keen sense of smell to locate grubs and worms, as they are plentiful this time of the year. And it returns to the set once more for a long winter sleep. But the badger isn't the only creature stirring at night. Foxes, rodents and pine martens are always on the move during the night this time of the year, due to human activity occurring primarily during the day. There is little hedge cover to camouflage these animals during the daytime as well, during this time of the year. Carnivores such as the red fox will be attracted to any food lying around, like this fish I've hung from a tree. The fish is tightly strapped to a rope, and the fox is going to have to work for its meal, stripping the fish down piece by piece. It looks around to try and figure out how to approach the food and how to get it for itself. It tries pulling the fish off the strap with brute force, but fails. Which is where the rope is hanging from, and realizes that it's not going to be able to get up there. It tries moving branches in hope one of them is connected to the rope, but nothing is happening. These attempts and studies to try and get the fish show a sign of intelligence. Instead of focusing primarily on the food, the fox studies the rope and thinks of ways to break it or move it. The fox gives up and moves off in search of an easier meal. The temperatures eventually drop below zero, and the rain turns into snow and hail. The land is covered in a huge blanket of snow, reflecting light and heat, dropping the temperatures further. As deciduous trees are bare now, many creatures seek refuge in the life-saving evergreen trees. These trees hold a little bit of heat in them, allowing animals to stay out of the cold and damp conditions. But this is when times get tough for many creatures, and one type in particular: finches, thrushes, and blackbirds. Their main source of food goes deep in the ground, away from the freezing temperatures on the surface. This leaves all these birds to starve, and many die during these times. Humans can help many of these birds survive during the winter by leaving bird food out, hanging from trees, and even in your back lawn. These starving birds will come very close to us in order to get as much food as they can get their beaks on. Their contrasting vivid colours stand out in the white snowy background, and just to stand so close to them and watch them feed is truly a special moment to witness. Squabbles can occur sometimes over food between rivalry species like finches and sparrows. And even Santa's little helper eventually turns up for some food. The robin's vibrant orange chest shining in the white snowy background. This bird is a favourite winter creature for many photographers to take images of for Christmas cards. The lifesaver us humans can supply to so many species during this tough time of the year is incredible. And if more of us took part in doing so, the percent of declining species may eventually go down, and the wildlife can become as abundant as it once was many years ago in the wild world of the Shannon Basin. We have now come to an end of our winter episode and have come round full circle to where we began. This year-long season of filming is dedicated to make people more aware of the secretive natural world that exists around us, that we rarely see, yet know of. Many of the species seen here are declining sadly, primarily due to loss of habitat. But if more people take note of the natural world around us, the sixth greatest mass extinction that we are currently going through may not have such an impact on Ireland. The natural world does so much for humans, and we don't see and appreciate it. And without it, we will perish. So it's up to us. Let human greed take over and destroy the natural world, or we save the world we got and provide our grand and great-grandchildren a healthy, sustainable planet where human and natural worlds coexist together in harmony.